Here's a blue and white Deceiver. Let's get started on this one. I'm going to start with the base of white thread. Wrap it towards the back there. Next we're going to take a pair of these feathers here. I'm going to grab two of them. Actually, if you look at the original again, we're actually going to put in two on each side. I think there's a second one there. They're sticking together, but you can see on one there, on that other side there's two. So I think there's actually four in here. There it is. So there's four there. You can see those there. So we're going to grab two to start with for the back side. Just to bring that back up, get an idea of how far back on the hook we're going to go. So we're going to come a little bit farther up here. I like to pull off some of those extra fibers. Lay that on the back side there. A couple wraps to hold that in place. I grab my next set of feathers. Do the same thing on this side of the hook. More wraps there. Get the stems down a little bit. Now we're going to come back to the silver tinsel. Get that started there. Just put that towards the back for a minute. Now if you come back to the original here, you can see that there's some of this flash coming off the back too. So we're going to tie that in right here on the top a little bit. So I'm going to take one strand of this. No, I'm going to take two strands of this. I think by the time we fold this over, we'll want to have a few more pieces than just the one strand will do. And I can see some of this it's not as straight because of the way it was packaged, and that's okay. I believe that when you start stripping this through the water, it's going to help straighten it out. I am trying to just get it straightened a little bit here. I'm going to line these up on these ends a little bit. And if you've watched my other videos, you've seen me do this trick where I just kind of hold them here in my fingers. These are little tiny things, tough to work with sometimes. And I'm going to wrap them around my fingers a couple of times like this. By doing that, I get a whole bunch together. I can put that on the top here. Obviously, because it's folded, it's got these ends on it here. So I'll come in, I'm going to snip those, just pull them tight. Snip those at the end. I think I got them. Nope, there's a couple in here still, I think. Just snip on those loops so it's all straight. I think I got them all there. Okay, now with that, we're going to bring this tinsel and make a body of it here. Bring that thread up to the front, of course. Now we don't want to go too far because we are going to tie in the other materials right there and then build a head. So we're just going to roll this flat tinsel over the body here. Saw a video today that said it was streamer season because it's fall. I don't know if I don't disagree with that statement, but I like throwing streamers all the time. I don't need it to be a certain season. Not to say it doesn't help that it's a certain season, but sometimes I just like throwing them. Okay, so I'm gonna come back to about there on that body, and now we're gonna to build out the rest of it. So we're gonna get some of this bucktail. Let's start with the white. That's the underbody color. So I'm gonna take a little of this clump here. I'm just gonna, again, if we look at the original, kind of get an idea how much we're pulling off here. And I'm just gonna maybe a little bit more than that. Cut that off. Now if you've got a hair stacker, I just dropped my hair stacker. Hang on, give me a second. It's a 2-part hair stacker. I grabbed it and it just dropped out because I must not have had the bottom. So this hair stacker is 2 parts. If you got one of these, you can throw these in there, throw these pieces in here, and then tap it. And that should make the ends should stack the ends together. Kind of worked on this. I think the hair got kind of stuck together. I'm going to roll this on my rotary vise upside down. And this hair is going to go a little bit farther past the hook. So I'm going to hold it here. I'm actually going to trim up those ends, give me a clean end on there. I like my first pass to have the thread all the way around just the material. I'm going to pull that back a little so it's not crowding the eye too much. And now tighten it down. Next material is this red flash. And if you look again, it's a little shorter on this one. So I'm going to take one piece here. I'm going to wrap it around just 2 fingers this time because of the shortness of this piece on the fly. Wrap that around. Gather up that end. You know, I think in this case I'm going to grab a second piece because even fold it over a few times, it did not give me as much as I wanted. So come back in here with another piece. Do the same thing again. This tinsel stuff is rolled together to kind of give it some extra, flash and stuff. And then you roll it around your fingers and it gets all kind of twisty. So it's you got to kind of work it to get it to work the way you want it to be. So now I'm going to bring this in here. I got those ends pretty good. I was thinking about trimming them, but I think because they're pretty even, I'm just going to leave them like that. And just bring them in here and tie it down. I want a couple more wraps just to feel good about that. And now I'm going to come in and just cut these short here to give me a little red flash underneath there. Now going back to the original again. Now we're going to do some blue bucktail on the top. This one goes back about the same distance as the white. Bring it up there. So let's bring this up and kind of get an idea. About that much. Pull out these longer ones. Cut this off with a piece I've got there. I'm going to trim up those ends again. Get it a little closer to where my fingers are. I'm going to first wrap, I'm going to bring the thread back one row. First wrap around just the deer hair. That will control it enough to keep it on the top, is what we're trying to do with that wrap. Pulling it back to keep it away from the eye of the hook a little bit. And a few wraps like that. And now we're going to take this flash bundle and just pull out a section of it like this. And this stuff's even finer than the last stuff. So I just pulled out a bundle, and I'm just going to kind of hold it right up here. Let's see, maybe I'm going to fold that, I think. I think I can get away with folding that, get a little bit thicker on the top there. I'm definitely going to trim this end up because I'm getting close to that eye again. And I want a really nice crisp edge to the material to try to keep it from going over that eye. A couple of loose wraps at first. Now a few more. And now I'm just building up the head. And every fly ends up with a whip finish at the end to keep the thread from coming off. I'm going to throw another one on here. Have you ever heard the saying, 2 is 1 and 1 is none? Kind of the idea there. Now let's go back to the original here real quick. And you can see there's an eye. So I tied this with white thread. You could put white paint on it and then a black dot for the eye. I think what we're going to do tonight is we're just going to take Simple Craft paint and open that carefully so I don't spill it all over the desk. And I'm just going to take a little dab of black and put an eye. Come back to the other side and another eye. And that's the blue and white Deceiver. Once that paint dries, you could throw over the top of it a top coat. And buried on my desk here, I've got this Wild Water thick UV resin. I love this type of stuff. It's great. In fact, I use that stuff for non-fly tying related small projects and stuff. So it's a great product to have. It comes with it needs a flashlight like this too, a UV flashlight, but it's great to have. So once this paint dries, I can come back with that, put a coating around that head to lock everything in place. That is the blue and white Deceiver.